Welcome. Today I want to talk a little bit about visual novels. Specific ones I played or read the last few years, and just what I think or I thought about them, what worked and what I thought didn't work that well in them. It won't be a very in-depth review, just more a small look at them, and more a little bit like my introduction videos, just small parts about them, and not a very in-depth review. So just up front, so that you know what you can expect. It will be a little bit like my my video about art books I did, where I just show them to you and just said what I thought worked best and which ones were just don't want to say crap, but I didn't think that were really good books for this kind of genre. Let's say it that way. So yeah, let's start it. Let's start with the first one, or even with the first one I ever played, and it's called End Economica by Spicy Tales. So why exactly was this one my my very first visual novel and not one of the bigger names? To be honest, this one caught my eye on Kickstarter. When it was started, it was a time where I wasn't sure if I should back other game projects. I backed when I started with Kickstarter. There were two projects or let's say three projects I backed, and one was let's say the creator was scamming us, and two other projects. One was finished now and was Broken Age. Just let's say I just got some months ago the end box, and also one other I can't remember now. So yeah, it wasn't a let's say I wasn't so sure if I should back it. The problem why I backed it, or why I was interested in, was because the story was written by Isuna Sakura, and the people who know it, or the people who know that name, know why I like it, because he has written one of my absolute favorite stories of all time, or to date, called Spice and Wolf. If you haven't already heard of it, I can say, check it out. It's definitely one of a story, and it's a great story with great characters. I did a long video about Spice and Wolf. If you want to check it out, do it, because I talk a little bit more in depth about it. So yeah, like I said, that name was why I started this, or why I was interested in this specific visual novel. It's published by Sekai Project, a name which I have later found out is a little bit infamous with these visual novels, because of some problems. Well, let's say some other problems they had, and they in hindsight I had it would be better if I waited, because they still haven't finished that specific Kickstarter project. I have the 3 games digital, but I'm still waiting on the finished the finished physical copy, and it's not near being finished. I think somewhere to 2018 they have announced it now, so yeah, I will wait. So what's the story about? The story is about it's about a young man who's trying to get somewhere where he, well, let's say to get some, let's say how he wants to stand somewhere where no one else has standed, and the story takes place in a colony on the moon, a colony that some years after this was all established, and yeah, if you know the stories by Isuna Sakura, you know he has a tendency to get a little bit, let's say, overboard with how to put it, with explaining how economic works, and it's also here. It's a very in-depth look at how geld transfers and something like that works, and I think it's not interesting for everyone, but it's done very well, and you can see his handwriting in this whole story, and I think it really worked out. It's the story goes over 3 volumes. I only have read the first one, and I really thought it was a really great read. The only thing I didn't like about it, I don't know, I didn't like the main character, to be honest. Or let's say all the characters were okay, but I never were that invested in them. I was invested in the story, but never in the characters themselves, and it was a little bit sad. Like I said, it was. I'm only looking at the first volume. Maybe this changed in 2 and 3. I will wait, but at the moment, I just want to know how the story continues, but not more about the characters. And the story was, to be honest, really great, and the ending of the first volume was something I haven't I haven't expected how it ended. It was a really great read, but yeah, like I said, I really love seeing more in-depth characters, and this was designated for this kind of story, and yeah, that's so. If you're more in a story in economics, then I definitely recommend this story. If this is something you say, nah, it's not something you are interested in, then maybe look at some videos from the beginning, or just check out a demo. Because it could be, it's like I said, it's not for everyone. So that's to World End Economica. The second one I wanted to talk about is called Fold Milestone 1 by Alice and Dissonance, and also was published by Sekai Project. The story is let's say it's a relative short story. But I liked it. I liked it because of the characters, and it was a little bit different than I first thought it would be. Because the main focus, the main focus is about a princess and her bodyguard that after an attack on their castle were teleported to the other side of their world and try to get back to their land. But you will relatively quickly see that this is the first volume of like World Economica. There are more parts to this, and you will quickly see that the first part isn't directly about them, but about another secret that's in the village they're landed. Let's say it that way. It's what I really love about this. Like I said, the characters aren't that bad, but also the story and how dark it gets at the end. But also how it all works out. It's a little bit different to explain it if you haven't played it. But let's just say the focus on the third or next main character that they meet was fantastic. I really loved it from beginning to end, and how this and how why it's it happened, what happened. It's definitely one I would recommend trying out. It's not long, and if you try it out and like it, definitely check out the second one. The second one starts with a big bang. Let's say it that way. I was surprised what they did and how they did it, but it was something I haven't expected. What happens at beginning of the second game. So yeah, definitely check it out. The third one I want to talk about is one, it's a little bit hard for me to talk about because I played the demo, I really liked it, I backed it at Kickstarter, and they changed something. But let's take a look at Elisa the Innkeeper. Yeah, like I said, I played the demo, and this is a little bit different than the other ones. The other ones were more like kinetic novels. That's okay. Just to explain what it is. A kinetic novel is just you're just reading a story. It's like you're reading a book with pictures animated and or something like that, and sound. And Elisa the Innkeeper is more a normal visual novel, which goes more into the realm of choose your own adventure type style books. And this one is special in that way because you aren't controlling a main character. You are more let's say some entity that's looking over the main characters and decide what will happen with these characters. So it has also some RPG elements and so on. It's a really great concept, and I'm so sad that I can't play it. It's just how to put it. Okay, when they started this project, when they gave out the demos, the demo was something like a prologue through the main game, and I really loved it. I love the background. I love the whole art of the game, and that's the second thing that drew me there. The system, the characters were looked interesting, and like I said, the art. But they changed the art, and I don't like the new art style. It's, to be honest, I personally find it very ugly, and that's what's keeping me from trying it out or really playing it. It's I don't know what happened. I don't like the new character models. It's if you can check it out. Some people like the new version more. I personally think the older version was better, and the new one just distracts me from the whole game. I don't know why. So like I said, I personally can't say if it's a recommendation for you or not. I would check it out. Like I said, the game mechanics are very interesting, and for people who are looking for something or another visual novel with new mechanics, definitely take a look. But like I said, take a look if the art is something you may or may not like. Yeah, it's like I said, it's a little bit difficult to talk about this specific one because yeah, it's normally I don't I'm not a person who says if something looks ugly or I don't like it, that I can overlook it. But in this case, a visual novel is like a picture book. If you don't like the art, it's, I don't know, you can stand over it, but it's a little bit hard, and yeah, like I said, it's I don't want to diss the game or make it better than it is, because like I said, the mechanics from the demo or the prequel, I really loved it. I played more. I even played it every way possible, or I've tried every possible way out, and I'm really sad that I am not a fan of the new art style. So yeah, check it out. If it's something for you, then definitely try it out, and if not, like I said, yeah, then let's stop here with this game, because like I said, I can't tell more about it. I just played you the prologue with the first 1 or 2 hours. So yeah, the next one I want to talk about Also, a Kickstarter project I supported is one I wasn't sure at first, but again, I wasn't sure first if it's something I may or may not like. It's more a comedy one, and it plays a little bit with the gender bender system. So the main character gets his gender changed, and yeah, the problem I have with this one is it more serious? Is it more comedy? And how does it work out? And this one is from the beginning to end. It's a more a comedy one. And like I said, this one, after reading the story, I thought it sounded interesting, and also the mechanics. They wanted to do more puzzles in the game, not only your normal choose what you want to do, and some other features they wanted to integrate. So yeah, that's why I backed it. And to be honest, this is one I really recommend from different standpoints. So this one is called Max Big's Bust, a Nekorian Tale, and from Locked Up Games. And yeah, like I said, this is a comedy take on the soul. It's a mix between gender bender comedy, a cop series, and some other things. And what they really do great are the humor function. I really like the humor in this game, and also the characters are very memorable with all their quirks. And also the story isn't that bad. It's about a couple of cops who are trying to stop a drug ring in their city, and what happens with these between these things. And at the beginning, and at one of their busts, the main character Max gets turned into into his opposite gender, and what really stands out, I have to say, is that they don't actually try to stay only focus on this one, because it's more, yes, it happens, but all the problems that surround or that happened with that are also told in the way parallel to the normal story. It's not just we focus on this one, but the main story goes on, and what he has to work with. And like I said, with how he works with the characters, function really works great. And what I also like is, like I said, the puzzle systems where you have to find a culprit in some cases or something like that, works great. The system where you can well, it has a romance system which, believe it or not, I think works really works great, because the ways you choose it are for this kind of story a little bit more realistic. It's not just you have to do something very very special to get person X to like you more or something like that. From the ways you choose how it's going on, it makes sense. Let's just say it that way. Something else I also like is the way they integrated some animation sequences. They are really really good, and there are, let's say, not low budget or low budget. They're really really good ones. There are not many in this game, but the ones that are in there are like I said, high quality, and definitely mix things up in the whole in this whole game. And definitely one I would recommend and check out. There are some, let's say, some slides or backgrounds that are not that great. You can see the difference in some, or the art difference in some, but it's something I can overlook in this case, because it's not the whole game where it goes down. There are some really high quality slides, and it's really great. That's or let's say it really works out. So yeah, if you're searching for a little more or something to laugh and very quirky characters, try this one out. It's really a fun. It's a really fun ride from the beginning to end, and it's a long run. So don't expect to finish this one in 2 or 3 hours, like some others. I think World End Economica it took me 6 hours. For milestone, I'm not. I think 2 to 3 hours, but have to check that again. But they weren't very long. So. The next one I want to talk about is hands down one of my favorite ones I have read. It's a kinetic novel. It's not long, something between I think 3 to 5 hours. How you read it, but it's wonderful. It's nearly 10 years old, but or it's over 10 years old, but this one is really fantastic, from the story, from the characters there in there, from the world. It's a really beautiful ride, and I have to admit, it was one of the few occasions where I had to cry at the end of the story, because how it's ended. I won't spoil it because this one I have to say I recommend it. It's a must read for everyone who tries out visual novels, because it's really one of it's a really fantastic artwork. It's called Planetarian, Reverie of a Small Planet. This one is the couldn't find a cover for the game. This one is for the Blu-ray film release. And like I said, it's about, or it's a post-apocalyptic world where one rider tries to survive and stumbles upon an old planetarium and an android that's stationed there, and what happens between these two. It's how he's at first glance he is very the characters are very unlikable, because he's smashing everything around, and always he doesn't like let's say he doesn't know why this other character there, or the android, is active there, and only smiling, always happy, always cheering. And you look around, you see everything crumble to dust. You can't go out in the rain. The rain is or it's very dangerous to be a longer time in the rain. And he just tried to survive, try to get food and some things like that. And he has this other characters there is just always happy everything that's going on. And it's really interesting how this let's say relationship blooms in this situation. And like I said, it's a very, very sad ending, but it's brilliant. I have to say, Visual Arts Key done an amazing job with this one, and like I said, it's a recommendation I always put out. Maybe there are better ones, but from all the ones I have read, this one was clearly one of the best ones I really started. And yeah, like I said, it's one you have to try out or try to read. It's fantastic. Also, the voice work is really great. It's Japanese voice work, so only English undertitles. But it's from the beginning to end. It's a fantastic ride, and try it out. I personally wasn't sure at first. I got it in a Steam sale. And at the end, I think I would have bought it for the full price. I think it was €10 for me when I would have bought it for the full price. And it's worth every penny if you try it out. The next one, or let's say the next two ones I want to talk about. These Um, okay, let's start with the first one. There are both games I will talk about now are from Pixel Fate Incorporated, and one is already finished. The other one just finished its Kickstarter. Its release date will be somewhere, or they want to release it at somewhere end of the year. But let's say how I got it. Okay, last year I think last year 2015. I saw a recommendation on Steam from a game called Ace Academy. I wasn't so sure about it because it sounded interesting and it didn't have, or it had good reviews. But I played another game I will talk about a little bit later in this video. But I wasn't sure about it. It's from the description. It's a slice of life, a little bit of romance style situation, and I'm normally not that person for these kind of games. So, but I put it on my wish list, and it was there for quite some time now, and. Last month, or no, I think it was March, I saw on Steam another creator I followed backed a game called Crystalline. This game, I thought, okay, I was intrigued, and it sounded interesting. It's about a guy who got. Who suddenly was transported from his library to a world somewhere he doesn't know, a world where magic is used, where he let's say where he finds someone, and he tries to find a way back to his time or his realm, and yeah, the story at first sounds a little bit cliche, but to be honest, I played the demo and I was amazed. It was an interesting read because the characters were great. The animation was great. They use not only a static background but static characters. They have a little bit more these 2D life systems to it, where the characters also move a little bit more, and also, I had to say the voice work. It was a little bit hit and miss, mostly for a little bit more of the NPCs, or the side characters. Let's say it that way. But the main characters weren't that bad, and also the way the story slowly unfolded and how some of the characters were introduced. I was intrigued, and that's why I also backed it. And to be honest, the demo went nearly 2 hours and had a very bad cliffhanger, or let's say a very great cliffhanger at the end. And yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to this one. And also, I would recommend trying this one out. The system where you can, or let's say the choosing system, where how you talk with different characters, how you or how you want to go with your where you want to go with the story, felt very natural. I never had this feeling that it was just now you come to a point where you have to choose which way you go, because it felt very like I said, it felt realistic. It felt you always knew when you every choice you do, even if it's the most obvious one. You, like I said, you want to be an a-hole, or you want to be a more the hero type. They never felt wrong. Every option you have to choose, or you can choose. Always worked. It never took you out of the game or the story. It made for the player, it made sense to choose that and then choose the next option and so on. Yeah, it's a very interesting system, and like I said, the story is interesting. The only thing I thought about the demo was that one part of the game there felt a little bit short. I'm not sure if that's because the way I chose my or the way I have chosen the story, but I think like I said, it felt like it will be a little bit more longer or more excited than what really happened in the game. But like I said, it's just a small part, and the rest really worked out. What I'm looking for is how they implement some of the mini games, because they weren't ready or aren't ready at the time. And yeah, definitely check this one out. And if you like the demo, definitely think about backing them. Even if the Kickstarter is or has ended, you can still get some of the rewards over PayPal. I will leave a link down below so you can check all of the games out, and even demos if there are some. Now back to the game I played now. I got the key for it, and I tried it out. Like I said, it's the game Ace Academy, and everything I said about Crystalline, except some of the art styles. It's like I said, this is the earlier game they did. It's the same. It's the same for Ace Academy. It's I have to say it's really great. I had some problems at the beginning. I found it a little bit rocky to get into the game, but after you get this initial start, it's really great. I was really surprised. Like I said, the same what I meant about Crystalline at the moment. The dialogue option is very, very natural. It never felt like there's a wrong or a right path. It's really felt like you are this main character who goes to the school, who talks with these different peoples, and it's every time I have chosen something, it always felt like something a normal person would say in this situation, or would react in this situation. It never, even if I tried something else, it never felt like even the alternative was a wrong way to do this specific situation, or try to get around it. And it's amazing. It's something I really haven't seen in other games to this point, and I'm still trying different options. It's a great game. It's a long game with some mini games inside. There are just 2 or 3 things I haven't liked that way. One, sometimes it looks like they had something they want to show everyone who played it, not if you chose only one route, and that's the only times I was taken out of the game. There was one specific time it happened to me. The second time I'm not so sure, but I think that's something else that didn't or that I didn't like about that part. But one time I had to choose. There was only one person to choose to where I was able to go to. And yeah, the way the story unfolded at that point, I have never heard. It was like I was with this person all along. It was the first time I went to this person, and it felt very wrong, to be honest, because I never had done with something with this person, and now we were doing this for quite some time. So, like I said, it didn't work at this moment. I know what they want to do. I have to say the joke in this part wasn't bad. It was great. I laughed, but like I said, it didn't look like it belonged at this point. It belonged to my story, the story I was writing at the moment. So yeah, if you want to know which one I'm talking about, it was the part with the casting for a singer. It's not a big spoiler, but the people who played it and know this specific part know what I'm talking about. And if you have played it like me with specific roles, you may or may not encounter this problem I had at the moment. But like I said, it's just a small part, and definitely would recommend trying it out, because something else it does really good is it's nearly everything is has a voice cast. And I have to say, even for such a indie title, the voice cast isn't that bad. There are one or two occasions where I have to say it's you see that this wasn't a professional speaker, but it wasn't. It never. I never had quite a feeling it was so bad that it took me out of the game. After a while, I think they came, or most of them were in their specific roles, and so it worked out for the whole game. So, also a game I would recommend, Ace Academy. The next one, or now we're coming, or let's just start with something else. The next few I will talk about are a little bit different. Now we are coming to the let's say, let's say the more measured or with explicit parts in them. Some one is only fan service, the other one have explicit parts in them. If you get the uncut versions. The other ones didn't have something like that, or just small parts, but the next ones are mostly them. Some of them also are more guilty pleasures for me, but had some parts I liked, and other parts I really didn't like. But like I said, games I would still recommend, or in one or another way. The first one I want to talk about isn't the baddest one from all of them. It's called Sunrider Academy. It's a little bit like Ace Academy, but this one has another story about it, because this is there's another game series called Sunrider, and there's one. The first one is a free-to-play game. It's a strategic. Strategic. Or a strategy game. Let's say it that way. It's a round-based strategy game, and it's not that bad. I played the free game and also the full price game, and this Sunrider Academy plays in the alternate universe. So they are in one way or another the same characters, but not in the way the normal storyline goes. This one I started playing. Again, a little bit like Ace Academy, I had some problems getting into this one. It has a little bit also. It's a choose your own adventure, but also you have some other aspects. You can buy gifts and something like that. This one has a little bit more on the romance system, because they will go into explicit scenes, like I said, and that's what I didn't like about this game. It's some of these scenes didn't look like they belong into this game. The story aspects, the different routes, aren't that bad. I really appreciate them, and they were great. They were written great. I love the characters after the halfway point when you start these specific routes from the specific characters. But like I said, these explicit scenes, I didn't enjoy them. Let's say it that way. You can play it without them. If you buy it over Steam, they are cutted out. I'm not sure how. But be warned when you start the game and bought it from somewhere else. It's if you don't like this, so just keep that in mind. It's also, like I said, it's also something like a slice of life romantic storyline in this one. Like I said, not much to talk about this one. Played on own risk. I think it's still it has its great parts in the story, but you need some time to get to them. but it could get interesting if you look at the routes. But I think for some people it could be a little bit boring. The next one is also we're getting into my guilty pleasures. The next one is one I think most people have heard of, and I have to admit I didn't choose to play it because I thought it was ridiculous. What I heard about it and what I saw, but I tried it out. And to be honest, the characters aren't that bad, and some parts of the story are also great. And we are talking about NEKOWORKS' NEKOPARA series. The series is about someone who opens a bakery and has two cat girls hanging around him all the time. And like I said, some of the backstories are really great in this one, and also the characters, I really like them. Again, the problem what I didn't like and what I really wished were shorter were the explicit scenes. The sex scenes, let's say it that way. They just didn't work for me. No, everyone says that this is part of the game, and I know some in Volume 2 there are parts of the story that depend on these scenes, but man, I didn't like them. I cringed when they came, and I just hoped, or let's say after I clicked through them, and I hope they end very soon. And this one I hoped, or let's say I think I never, or let's say at the end I thought it would be better if I just bought them over Steam with the cutted version. I know how this sounds for people who always play these visual novels. I didn't enjoy it, and that's the biggest problem I had with this. With these two, I read all two, and I'm still looking forward to the third one. But at the moment, I'm looking forward to the movie adaptation from this one, the anime adaptation, and which will cover the first volume, and it will be 1 hour. And I'm interested how they do it without these scenes. Like I said, at least in Volume 2, they're part of the story, which makes me cringe a little bit, but I can't give a recommendation. I would say check it out if it's something for you or not. But be warned. Again, be warned. This one is definitely one of the a little bit harder ones to swallow if you are not doing this or not reading them regularly. So just be warned in this case. That brings us to the last two, and the last two are also in some way guilty pleasures of mine. In some way, it's two Sakura games from Winged Cloud. If you aren't familiar with the Sakura series, let's say it's a big series from very short visual novels, mostly fan service, some more with a little bit more higher content, but normally just I won't go that far to say they are shovelware aware, but the way they put them out in short time, it just feels like sometimes it feels like shovelware, because some of them aren't really great. Most of them are just if you check them out over Steam and you will see what I mean. But the first one I want to talk about is one of their early ones, and to be honest, this one wasn't that bad. It's called Sakura Spirit. It's like I said, it's a fan service. It's a fan service game, very very low budget, But I have to say the characters aren't that bad. I really enjoyed them. I enjoyed the interaction, and one thing I really didn't like about this game, this again it's a kinetic novel, and you have one choice nearly at the end of the game, and you can choose with whom you will. With whom you will talk for the next couple of hours. If you go to a village or to some let's say fox girls, and to be honest, if you choose the village, it's getting cringeworthy, and I really didn't like that part. It's totally fan service, and everything the characters done to this point just felt wrong, and I thought, what happened here? The other parts of the other parts of the story worked really fine, but at this point, they just killed the two human characters at this in this part. If you choose the other way to go to the two fox girls, it's worked out. It's not great, don't get me wrong. It's not a fantastic storytelling, but it felt more natural, it felt more serious. In this case, how they react, how they talk. Again, a lot of fan service in this one. No explicit scenes, but like I said, it's a guilty pleasure of mine, because I think the author had some fun with some of the characters, and you can see it. I would check it out in some way. It's no recommendation. It's maybe if this one is on a Steam sale for a really small price, maybe check it out. But it's again, it's not a good game, but it can be fun for the small amount, or for these 2 hours that it's long. Like I said, it's not a very long, not very good game, but you can have some fun. And like I said, I enjoyed some of the characters and some of the stories in this short time. That brings us to the last one. The last one, I have to admit, I had really a lot of fun with it, and I played it over 20 hours, and it brings us to one of the, let's say, a little bit bigger visual novels. This one has a RPG element in it, a really RPG element. It's a dungeon crawler with where you fight with a small group of creatures, and also can capture creatures, and some things like that. It's called, if let's say, it's also from Winged Cloud. It's called Sakura Dungeon. Again, this game. Oh, where I've been. Also, this one is for mature people. There is a version on Steam. I don't know how much they cut it, but I think if you cut this game, there isn't much left, because there is a lot of fan service and a lot of other things, and but I have to admit, what I liked about it is the main character, Yomi. It's a great written character. I have to admit that, and a lot of fun. But the measure elements, I didn't need them, and some of them are, let's say, there are a lot of them in there, and sometimes you had, sometimes it was too much in my opinion. You don't need that much. The rest, the basic dungeon crawler system, the basic RPG system, no problem with that. And it had a lot of fun, and even just the way the story works. I had fun with the story. That's my problem with that. Why I wanted to play it to the end, and also some of the things that happened weren't that bad. They had really funny things in them. The end of the game I didn't like in some way, because how it ended. I think I had a feeling they forgot somewhere to tell us a little bit about a specific character that appears there. but it was a nice ride to that, except the 50% of the game I would rather forget that they exist. But yeah, even after the game ended, after you beat the last boss, to be honest, there was still some things to keep you going. There was an extra dungeon appeared, and it changed a little bit because the enemies changed, the dungeon changed, and also you get special bosses and something. So that's my problem. The game itself isn't that bad. Just the magic, the mature content that's in my eyes a little bit too much in this case. I know normally many of these games contain that, but in this case it was a little bit too much for my opinion. But still, it's a guilty pleasure for me, and I have started a second time to try some other things out. But look at it first. Get some ideas what you are into, and you will see what I mean with the mature content. Like I said, not for everyone, and you can check out the Steam version. Like I said, I'm not sure how they cut some things out or censored some things, but definitive. It's like I said, it's worth to look for the 50% they do right, in my opinion, but the other 50% are a little bit too much. Like I said, it's my opinion. If you like it or not, it's just what you expect. So that's for me. Thanks for watching and staying. If you really have sit through this nearly 1 hour video, I hope I hope it wasn't too boring. I hope you may check the one or the other game out and find something you have fun with, and or even if it's something you never heard of. I hope it's something you will try. Like I said, it will try out, and I hope to show you another game in another video somewhere in the future. There are still some I want to try out. At the moment I have two I'm really looking forward to. One is Steins Gate. In my opinion, one of my let's say it's my second favorite story I have read a little, let's say heard of. I watched the anime and already more times than once, and it's a story I really enjoy, even if there are so many backlash. I love what they did there, and even the last two episodes I thought were fantastic, a fantastic end to this series. But I'm looking for what the visual novel has to offer, because I know that the anime is just one end of this game, and I'm really looking forward. The other one I want to try out now because I heard really good things about it. I'm looking forward to finish Muv-Luv, and maybe I will do a video about this one, but it's a big one, and let's see when I have time to do this. So again, thanks for watching if you watched it through to the end, and hope to see you in one of my other videos. Thanks.